What's happening, hardscapers? This is episode 104 of the How to Hardscape podcast, where we talk to you about how you can start and grow your hardscaping business. And today's episode is sponsored by IQ Power Tools. They build smart, tough power tools that eliminate the dust problem for the hardscape industry and beyond. So go check them out at iqpowertools.com. And today we're joined by Tom Reber. He is a construction business coach, founder, and host of the Contractor Fight TV on YouTube and Contractor Fight Podcast. And he joins us today to talk about sales and beyond for business owners in the hardscape industry, contractors, whatever it may be. So let's get into it. Today, we're joined by Tom Reber. He is a construction business coach, founder, and host of the Contractor Fight Podcast, also the host of Contractor Fight TV on YouTube. Tom, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me, Mike. How you doing today, man?
Good. Thank you so much for your time here. And I'm excited to have you on the show today. I've been following along with you in your videos and Contractor Fight Podcast for some time now. So I'm excited to get into your story, your background, as to start here to give our audience a little bit of context about yourself before we jump into a wide variety of topics that I've got questions for you. Tom, can you give our audience some context, your background about yourself, what brought you to this point of where you are today?
Yeah, wow. Well, I grew up outside of Chicago and did everything I could growing up to not be in the trades because most of the guys in my family were in the trades, and most of them honestly weren't doing that well. You know, I had my uncle probably did the best, and he's still in the game. He's a painting contractor and solid business and stuff. But I grew up in a town that there was that side of the tracks and my side of the tracks, and so I was friends with all the guys on the other side of the tracks, and all their dads were doctors and lawyers and drove fancy cars, had big houses, and we lived in about 1,000 square foot home and struggled with money. And so I honestly tried to avoid the trades, and fast forward, I end up going to the Marines. I end up getting out of the Marines. And then next thing you know, I'm working back for my uncle again, running one of his paint crews. Fast forward a few years later, I go off, I start my own business. We come out of the gate pretty strong. This is early 2000s. I think 2002, right in there. And for about 10 years, ran primarily a residential painting company, did millions and millions in sales, and had a great team and this and that, had a really, really good business partner. And then end of 2011, I just decided I wanted more. I felt, I don't know about you, Mike, but I've been one of those guys that grew up always feeling like I was meant to do something that was going to be impactful to people. And, so I sold my half of the business, and, without even really, and actually this is funny. I started coaching businesses, but for the first 2-3 years, I didn't coach contractors because I was back to that whole, I just wanted a break from the contracting world. And what I came to realize is I really missed it. I love it. These are my people. And so I started the Contractor Fight. And since then we've coached literally tens of thousands of contractors around the country, through our free content, our paid programs, things like that. And I'm at the point now where I don't see myself as a business coach, man. I see myself as somebody here to wake people up and put success and greater levels of success personally and professionally. I want to put that on their radar and show them what's possible. And I have a great team of coaches that help me fulfill that. And, so yeah, we're here, and then fast forward, where we at now? We're 2021 as we record this. I live outside of Colorado Springs. Right in Colorado Springs. I through my content and stuff like that, I got tapped on the shoulder about a year ago to host an HGTV show that we just finished filming the first season, and I could get into more why I did that later, but because it ties into my company mission. But man, it's been a crazy ride. And, I'm just super grateful to, have the relationships that I have, and so many unique cool, kick-ass people in the trades, man. You know, it never gets old.
Absolutely. And thank you for that background set up there. I really like how in your videos you're constantly telling people, you know, what they can improve on, what they can do, but also relating it back to you, saying that I know that you need to do this because I did this in the past, right? This is what you need to do. So you also mentioned that you've coached many different contractors, so many. So my first question for you here is, what are some of the most common problems that you're seeing with contractors, whether that's something that you did way back then or contractors that are constantly coming to you with that simple common problem that they're having, that you know how to start them off?
Yeah, you know, I think right out of the gate, most guys, they're just not charging enough for their work. You know, and that the root of that is your mindset, the way you think, the way you see yourself, and the value that you bring. But hands down, that's number one. And then a close second would be most contractors don't take building their brand and marketing their business as serious as they should. Every year, Mike, I do a rant on one of the platforms where I basically get in everyone's grill because it's your busy season and you took your foot off the gas pedal of marketing and selling, you know, and I think that's a big problem that keeps guys in the same spot year in and year out is they get complacent, right? Like the phone's ringing, I got jobs, my face is down in the hole in the dirt, I'm doing my thing. And then I finish a few projects because I was booked out 8 weeks. Now I pop my head up out of the hole. I don't have any more work. You know, and it's because you haven't embraced the idea that you're no longer the guy in the field first. Whatever you're carpenter, you know, hardscaper, whatever you do, that's like eighth on your list now. Once you start your own business, you doing the actual work should be nowhere on your immediate radar. It's building the business, working on the business, marketing, sales. And if, you know, dude, I didn't know jack about creating processes and systems when I started my first business. But all I knew is that without oxygen, we would die. And to me, money is oxygen. And so I did everything I could to spend rarely ever less than 6 hours a day prospecting, building relationships, handing out business cards, knocking doors. And I, you know, and because of that, we grew really quickly and rarely, I can't say never, but rarely had periods of really no work, you know, because that was my priority. I just, you know, it's like your body needs oxygen to live, right? It controls everything. And the business is the same. And a lot of guys never get out of that mindset of you're still married to the field. You're still the artist, you know? And that's another thing. Guys will, you know, not charge enough, and then they'll spend more time on a project with the team than they really should because the artist kicks in, and then they don't make the profit they planned on making on the job. And, you know, it just creates a whole bunch of other problems.
So what do you say to that guy that, you know, still really loves to be in the field? That's where they get their fulfillment from. And would you say then to hire around what they're not interested in, which is that sales, that marketing aspect, and stay in the field, run your business from the field if that's what you want to do? Or what would you say to that person?
Certainly doable. You know, yeah. I mean, this is your business, right? You can do whatever you want. I think it comes back to what's your ultimate goal for the business?
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are really good at what they do. They love working in the field, and that's noble and it's honorable, but you're building a business, you know, and as long as you're working in the field, you're still working a job. Even if you own the company, it's still a job. Now you can certainly do that. I've worked with people that they worked in the field. They hired an office manager, and they hired, you know, some of those other positions around them. You know, and had some moderate success. But I think, personally, I think you got to get yourself out of the field. Listen, you're not getting any younger. I'm 51. I don't know how old you are. You're way younger than me, but like, you know, your body only has so many hard physical days in it, man, you know, and if think about it this way, it's the habits, the life we have in 10 years is dependent on the habits we have now. And if your habit now is to put the tool belt on or grab the shovel and go in the field, then what's that going to produce 10 years from now versus, hey, I'm going to create a great sales process and marketing plan, and I'm going to work on my company culture, and I'm going to be a recruiting machine, and, you know, hire people that are better than me and other things, so that in 10 years, the compound effect of all those daily habits of working on the business puts you in a position where you got a, you know, 8, 10, $15 million company at a 50% gross profit that gives you a pretty good life and changes your family tree, man.
Yeah.
Financially, at least.
Yeah.
So
one thing that you mentioned at the very start was knowing your numbers and charging what you should be charging. And we've covered that quite in depth on this channel, but we haven't covered discounts. And I saw that kind of pop up in my YouTube feed from you before. And I do see people every once in a while, whether it's on Instagram or through their business or whatever, hey, we're offering a 20% discount if you book with us for this time, whatever it may be. What do you think of discounts and discounting your work? All
right. What I'm about to say, I'm putting an asterisk in front of, right? It's kind of like way back in the day with Sammy Sosa and McGuire with the home run derby thing, right? They had asterisks because the whole steroid thing they were accused of or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, there are always exceptions. Let me start from the side of discounting. The only companies I've ever seen be successful with discounting in the home improvement industry are those that actually are more established brands. They've already been pricing their work well above what they need to. They know their numbers. They got a CFO in the office. They actually have a real marketing plan. They have a sales process. They have a lot of things in place. Because I'll tell you right now, they're really not discounting their work. Okay. Like I knew a guy who advertised $199 to paint the walls in a room. Okay. And any painter knows that we would look at that and on the surface go, oh, what a freaking lowballer, right? Can't make money at that. Well, when you looked at the fine print, it was for one coat. There was no paint, you know, no materials, didn't include any repairing of the walls. It was literally just putting one coat of paint on the walls. So you call it $200 in an average size room. That's about an hour and a half of work. Okay. Call it 2 hours tops of work. So that guy's selling his labor at $100 an hour. Okay. That'll work for a painter. That's more than most painters make. Net result of this guy's business is because he had a sales process. You know, he was doing 12 million a year. He was crushing it. Okay. Now, I didn't like his techniques because it was kind of baity and switch. You know, people think so again, I'm just saying the companies that succeed with discounting usually have their shit together with their numbers. Okay. Now let me go to the guys that are listening to this, or the guys like you're talking about throwing up a post that says 20% off and blah, blah, blah. Way back in the day, we were doing, 300 to 400 projects a year in my painting company. And there was a couple year run where I thought discounting was going to help us. And we were really fanatical about tracking our leads and sales. Make a long story short, the jobs that we offered discounts on, our close rate was lower than our normal ones. Okay. It did not lead to more work. All it led to, because every job we got that we ever discounted led to pain in the ass customers who were discount buyers. And so instead of discounts, I try to flip it and go, how can I give some value added stuff? Hey, while we're up here, we're going to clean your gutters for you, right? If we're painting the house, or, you guys are hardscaping something and maybe you do some sort of spring cleanup in the front yard on your way out, or whatever it might be, right? There's always something value added we can give, because the minute we start discounting, you're basically saying I was charging you too much to begin with. And that's what I have a problem with. So, discounting will rarely ever be the thing that grows your business. And we used to kick the spring off. I was in the Midwest, so we'd have winter and we'd be cooped up inside as a painting company. Couldn't wait for spring to come, right? Every company's like that, that's seasonal. And we always wanted to be the first company that had our yard sign in the neighborhood. And, because you think that's, now everyone's going to call me because I'm the one with the first sign. Well, what happens is all the contractors race to the bottom with discounting their work to be the first one. And I had a year in this one neighborhood, I got 4 projects right out of the gate that we discounted. And then rain hit, scheduling conflicts with the homeowners, all this other stuff. So these jobs that I discounted to get to be in the neighborhood soon, 3 of the 4 of them ended up not happening until like June and July when I'm at my peak season, and now I'm doing cheap work. And I'm just wasting my time. So overall, I think discounting is not a great idea. I should have just said that, and that would have been a lot quicker.
No, that was great. It's always good to hear the story behind it as well, and the reasoning behind that. Talking about, you get the first few jobs lined up and you get busy, you're in the field working, your head is down. All of a sudden, 8 weeks later, your head is up, you got no more work lined up. I just want to take a moment to thank our sponsor, IQ Power Tools. They build smart, tough power tools that eliminate the dust problem, and they've been studying the hazards of silica for over 15 years. Their team is passionate about mitigating dust on the job site through their tools and by educating their fellow industry colleagues. Go to iqpowertools.com and learn about healthier work practices and eliminating dust from your next project. This is crucial for our industry in being able to keep our job sites healthy and safe for those around us. That includes our crew members, us as business owners, homeowners, and those around us on the job site. And it helps us remain professional while doing so. So go check them out at iqpowertools.com or on their socials at iqpowertools, and let them know that you heard about them from the How to Hardscape podcast. Now back to our episode. I figured that it's important to talk about how do you stay on top of leads coming into your business. Is it a solid pre-qualification process that that you're getting into, that that the leads coming in, the ones that you're showing up to, are good leads, that it's worth your time to go? Is it setting up yourself properly with marketing and understanding marketing? Like, what is it that we need to do if we find ourselves in that situation where we get, say, 4 weeks lined up, head is down in the dirt, like you said, and then 4 weeks later, head is up, no work left?
Well, if you don't have any work, it's simply you just took your eye off the marketing and sales ball. You're not committed to scoring points in the business every day. Now, I have a disclaimer here. Very, very, very biased take on the question that you just asked, because one of the other companies I co-own is a sales training company for contractors called the Contractor Sales Academy. And so I'm extremely biased because we have a process and a system that works. But every day in that group, in our private group, I go in and I post the date. Like even yesterday was Easter Sunday. I go Easter Sunday and I said, yeah, I know I'm weird. It's Easter Sunday, but what did you sell today? And the day before it was, whatever the date was, Saturday, Saturday, the date. And I go, what'd you sell today? And the culture in our community is that you sell something every damn day of the week, period. In fact, I just have a total opinion from experience that a day without a cash register ringing, meaning a signed contract and a deposit check, is a terrible day in business. Like, that's just something I've programmed myself over the years. And what it does is because you got your reticular activating system, right, in your brain, which basically says whatever you tell your brain is important, your brain's going to find more evidence for that. So if I tell my brain it's important to sell every day, it's more likely I'm going to sell something every day. I don't care if it's $7 or $70,000. It's the momentum of selling something. And so if you're popping your head up out of the hole with no work, it's most likely that you just haven't taken your job as a marketer and sales guy seriously. Now, phone's ringing off the hook this time of year, right? Especially in the spring, homeowners want to get outside too. They want to do things in their house. They're excited. Phones are blowing up right now. And so then you're like, man, I don't want to waste my time. Well, what we found is that the average contractor spends about 4 hours of their life on each quote unquote estimate. Okay. Now I know it varies from trade to trade, right? But I'm just saying the average. We've worked with GCs, remodelers, painters, flooring guys, hardscape, tons of landscapers and water feature guys in our community, like a shit ton. And the average, by the time the phone rings, you set the appointment, you go out there, you tap dance in the yard, you tell them how amazing your company is and all this other shit. And then you got to get pricing, work up your estimate and all this other stuff. Then you go back, you peck at your computer till 11 o'clock at night. And then you're about to hit send and you're like, God, that's too much money, man. I don't think they're going to go for that. And then you start negotiating against yourself. Right. And then you drop your drawers, you send the price, and then they go into witness protection program and you're calling them for 3 weeks, trying to follow up with them. And this is all on the heels of a great sales call when you were out there going, they really liked me. Right? This is a slam dunk. I'm going to get this job. But then now you can't find them once you sent the price or you shared the price or whatever. And now they're getting other bids and this and that. And then you're making follow-up calls and all this other shit, not to mention all the drive time that you spent out there and the time on site. So anyway, this whole thing is about 4 hours of your life. Okay. So since I'm terrible at head math, I'll use calculator math. If you have 100 leads in a month times 4, that's 400 hours in a month. Right? Divided by 24, that's 16 days a month, 17 days a month that you're running around being everyone's little, all right. And so what we teach is how to use your telephone and have an honest conversation with the right spirit of the conversation to its pre-qualification on steroids. Often the net result is guys will end up selling a project without ever physically going out to see it. Or if they go physically see it and somebody doesn't buy, they get a consultation fee. We only teach people to go to a house if you're going to get a consultation fee, which you don't want, or a deposit check. And if it's not one of those two outcomes, then there's no reason to go out there. We teach people how to talk money on the phone without, Mike, if I say to you, or no, if you're a sales guy, you come to my house and you say, Tom, what's your budget for this project? You know what I'm going to do?
You're not going to tell me.
I'm going to lie to your face.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's what buyers do because we're afraid of being taken advantage of. So we teach people how to get the budget from people 100% of the time without getting lied to. There's some psychology behind that and some techniques and some word tracks. And we do a lot of role playing. And so it's not uncommon for the people in our program. And I said I was biased on this because if you're not your own biggest fan about the shit you do, then why do it? Right. But we track this stuff in our group. We got hundreds of contractors, all different groups. The guys that are crushing it, that follow the process, they damn near we got several that have a 100% closing rate when they go to the yard. We have it's rare that it would be less than an 85 or a 90% if you're following the process. So just think about that right now. If those 100 leads come in and I have a 15 minute conversation with people, and in that process, I weed out 70 of them, right? But now I'm spending my time with the best 30 that are going to respect my value the way I do. And they're happy to pay believe me, they're happy to pay your prices when you connect with them on this emotional level with tactical empathy and some other techniques and things like that. You're going to sell damn near every one of those 30. Okay. And the other cool result is your average job size is going to go up at least 15 or so percent because of the way we teach you to bracket things and some really other cool stuff. So man, if you're on that hamster wheel right now, running around, you can't keep up, you feel like you're in the proposal writing business and you're not seeing the return on the other side that you want, you got to get control of that. We've been teaching this for 6 years. And what's funny, Mike, is now all the other coaches and groups out there are preaching, get paid for proposals and get paid for this. And we started this over 6 years ago by just saying, we're not everyone's little slave running around writing proposals for everyone. Okay. Not everyone's a good fit. And so, I get going on this stuff and then I just get off. You know me, if you watch my shit, you know, I lose my shit now and then. So, because I'm so passionate, man, this is about respect. I started the Contractor Fight to bring respect and dignity back to the trade. So no more of this, hey, Mike, it's Tom on 123 Main Street. I'd like an estimate on some hardscapes. Why don't you come by the house and leave the bid in the mailbox? Okay. They have no respect. You're just a piece of meat at that point.
Yeah.
I've been called out for proposals. This is a million years ago where I showed up and there were 8 other damn painting contractors there. It was like a cattle call. All right. And the reason that customers do this, the reason it's not because they're bad human beings. It's because we have not taken control of our sales process. We've not taken control of how we do shit in our business. And so where do they learn from? They learn from Angie's List and Home Advisor and all this other bullshit that says get 74 bids before you do a hardscape project. Right. And a hardscape project shouldn't be more than $3,500 or whatever the hell the number is.
Right.
When they don't know what it's some intern that just graduated college with a lame ass marketing degree that's writing articles on hardscape projects. Right. They don't have a clue. So it's our own damn fault, which is why I get in people's face about this going, this is changeable. This is fixable. You know, when the phone rings, hey, Mike, thanks so much for calling, blah, blah, blah. Hey, is it cool if I tell you about our process that we use to go about, you know, pricing up jobs and working with our customers? Sure. What's that look like? Okay. It all starts with a picture. We get people to send a damn picture. All right. Or we'll pull up a website with them on the phone on Zillow or some shit or Google Maps, and we'll look at their house. We'll look at their yard, and you can have an honest conversation about why they want to do it, what's important, what it's going to cost. What happens if I come out to your house and tell you the same thing that I told you now? You know, is everybody on board with the project? And if you don't move ahead with me, if I come out there, oh, guess what? You get to cut me a check for my time. You know, this is our process. And that hit me, man. You cut me off anytime because I get fired up on this. I had, you think about going in for surgery. Okay. My daughter had knee surgery not too long ago. Doctor walks in the room, this is a couple years ago. Walks in the room, and he wasn't like, hey, timid and, you know, yeah, you know, blah, blah, blah. He walked in with that fighter pilot swag. You know what I'm saying? Where he walked in knowing he's the damn pro. He's like, here's the deal. We're going to do the surgery on this date. Day before, this is what you're going to eat. This is what's going to happen. You're going to go to bed. You're going to come in here. We're going to do this. Then this is going to happen. This is going to happen, and so on. Like, he just took control. You know, and that really hit me that the best companies, the best sales organizations have a sales process that they're unapologetic about, man. This is what it takes to work with us. You know, if you don't like it, hey, I get it. We're not a fit for everybody. Good luck. I'll give you the names of a few other guys that'll, you know, you could waste each other's time. Go for it.
So if in that call, or whether it's on site, whatever it is, you can't get that budget from the customer, is it a matter of knowing your numbers so well to say, hey, we've done projects like this before, this is kind of the range that you're going to fall in? Does that meet your budget? Is that the question you would get to understand their budget a bit further?
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because at least what I've found in our trade is that you just customers, clients, they just don't quite understand. They don't comprehend the process involved with the excavation base prep and everything that goes into it.
So a lot of guys prematurely jump into the money conversation with people before they understand the motive. The motive is their reasons for buying. Their reasons are more important than mine. Every one of us listening to this could list off 50 reasons why people should buy from your company, right? But if those reasons aren't the client's reasons, if we don't understand what's important to them, the motive, what's really, when you peel things back, what's at the heart of why they want to do it. And it's usually an emotional thing rooted in pain or pleasure. Okay. Like right now, I'm a great example. I am doing a $250,000 backyard right now. Okay. With Matt Heiner, who's been on your show. He's a good buddy of mine. He's been in our programs. I trust him big time. Matt used my own Ninja Sales Academy tricks on me. Okay. Which was funny because I knew what he was doing, but he was doing his damn job. I'm doing this yard because I'm embarrassed of it. Okay. The pain of embarrassment is worth the money I'm dropping on this thing, if that makes sense, to make it go away. And so most contractors just go, oh, he just wants it done by the 4th of July. That's timing, or they just want a low price. They're mostly concerned. No, my issue, and I didn't get any other bids, but I guarantee you, if I would have called 10 other landscapers, and I wouldn't, or hardscapers and outdoor living people, and I won't do that because I'm not going to waste everyone's damn time, right? But like, if I were to do that, I guarantee you 8 of them would not get to my motive. I guarantee. And the other 2 would get there through luck. Okay. So most guys jump into the money conversation and make it about the money without really digging into the motive. Okay. But I'll give your listeners a hack here. Because I know there's the other thing here, Mike, where guys are like, well, I got to spend some time on this thing, right? To figure out what it's going to cost and blah, blah, blah. So let's say, Mike, you're me and I'm Matt Heiner, right? And I say, and Matt's like, so what, if you could, hey, what's at the root of the project? What's motivating you to do this now? And long story short, I got to the point, Matt, I want a yard that I'm proud of. I do. I've lived in some really nice homes, my life and my career and this and that and all over the place and this and that. I've never had a mind-blowing yard that I just walk into and go, man, this is fucking kick-ass, right? And so right there, let's, for time's sake, we'll fast forward that. I really understand that Mike, you want your yard because it's a pride thing, right? You're embarrassed. You want to be proud of, you want to host people. You don't want to be embarrassed and apologize every time your friends come over. You're like, oh yeah, sorry. This is, looks like trailer park, whatever. Then it's time to transition into what we call step 2, the money in our process. And this is how I would do it without spending a bunch of time, dinking around, right? I would say, well, Mike, I think just to make sure I got this right, the main driver here for this thing is you want something you're super proud of. You're tired of being embarrassed. You want to have your friends over, blah, blah, blah. Did I get that right? And now you're going to confirm it back to me. Go, yeah, 100%, man. Right. So then I'm going to go, well, are you cool? And let's just role play it here, Mike.
Yeah.
Mike, are you cool if we just talk about what something like this might cost?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. And, so based on what you're telling me, because I left a step out, I'm going to get you also to describe what you got going back there. Like, hey, if you could wave a magic wand over your backyard, what's it look like? Right. And you're going to be describing, like, in my case, I'm like, I want cool lights. I want water features. I want, elevations. I want this. I want plantings, this, because we like to garden. My queen and I like to plant stuff every spring, blah, blah, blah. And so you're taking some notes, you're jotting this shit down. And so I'm going to revisit that. I'm going to go, well, listen, Mike, based on what you're telling me, I got one of two options here. I can build you a mind-blowing space that will most likely be in some of the top outdoor living magazines and websites in the world. It's going to be that mind-blowing. People are going to want to do that. And man, that's going to be, I don't know, $200,000 to $300,000. Notice I paused because sometimes they go, oh, okay, let's do that. This is called bracketing. All right. Notice I gave two numbers, a high and a low. That gives me some room, right?
Right.
Now you're not locked into us because of the way we teach our step 3. So I'm just going to put that out front here. Those of you that are just going like, well, what if you get out there and you can't do it for 2? It has to be 3. There's a way to do that without being a bait and switch slimy sales guy. So I'm going to go. So one option is we blow your mind with $200,000 to $300,000, or we can come out, do a nice base pad and all that other shit, and look at a nice hardscape with a simple outdoor kitchen and maybe, some lighting and this, whatever it is. Right. And for that, we might be looking at, $75,000 to $100,000. And then here's the question. This is how you get the budget. You bracket it like that. And then you go, which conversation does it make most sense for us to have? And you shut your mouth. You will get their budget 100% of the time. Okay. Sometimes they'll say, well, there's no way we're spending $200,000 on this thing. And this is where we bite ourselves or shoot ourselves in the foot. There's a question I call the golden question, that it's simply, well, what do you think we should do next? There's no way we're spending $200,000 on this thing, Tom. Yeah, I get that, Mike. So what do you think our next move is here? See, I'm taking control by giving them control. And they might go, well, we already got 4 other bids and they're all under $50,000. And I'm like, yeah, it's not surprising. So what do you think we should do next? And oftentimes the answer you want You don't want to make assumptions, but the answer you really want in that case is, well, I think I'm going to talk to one of the 4 other guys and not you. Because now I just weeded out somebody that's not going to be my customer. And here's where we go wrong, where the artist and our ego gets in place. Well, if I just get out to the yard and show them how cool I am and how much I know, they're going to hire me. No, if they have a $40,000 budget or a $50,000 budget, and you're a $75,000 project minimum on something like this, then why the hell are you wasting those 4 hours or whatever it's going to take you doing this, and then this chase and all this other garbage? So let me give you guys one more thing here with the money thing. Sometimes you have no idea how to paint that bracket picture, right? And so maybe they're not giving you anything on the budget. This is where practice and role play comes in. Most salespeople don't role play. We it's funny, man. We do about 40 to 50,000 role plays a year in our sales academy combined. There's a shit ton of role playing. And sometimes you go third party. You're like, hey, Mike, based on what you're telling me, we've done projects that are really similar to this. Starting at 75 grand and going up from there. I mean, what would happen if I came out there and told you it was going to be like 75 grand for this? Well, Tom, I'd tell you you're high and I would never talk to you again. I'm like, great. That's the outcome I want. That's a win because I didn't waste my time.
Right.
Okay. So there's so many different angles to do this, but it's all rooted in that commitment to being as much as a sales expert as you are a hardscape expert. Right. And we put so much time into learning our craft, but we give our scraps to learning how to sell and connect with people emotionally, which is really the game changer.
Well, Tom, I've taken up a lot of your time already. I do have one last question for you. Right after this, I have a consultation because it is our busy time in the season. So I want to ask you, what's that first question I should ask that customer or that client when I first meet them?
It's the magic wand question.
That's
it's like, hey, I really appreciate you having me out. So what, actually there's a couple different ones, but one, I'll give you 2. One is, how are you hoping I can help you? And just shut your mouth. Right. That seems like such a simple question, but for a lot of the people that we work with, it's crazy because it just gets people talking. And to piggyback that, it'd be like, maybe you have somebody who's not as talkative or expressive, right? And so, hey, how are you hoping I can help? Well, I want to get a bid on my backyard. So I might say, Mike, help me see what you see. Like if you had a magic wand and we waved it over your yard, what would we have on the other end of this thing? And then again, shut your mouth. And then the key here is when they give you something, don't pounce on it like a lion eating its prey. Okay, let me give you an example, real quick example here. You might get, the last guy that we hired left a big mess and things were uneven and, whatever it was on the last patio we did, I don't know. Most contractors, self-included, without training, you jump into, well, we always make sure things are level and we make sure this is blah, blah, blah. We start defending how amazing we are. That's the time to not pounce, but to peel back. Okay. Yeah. The last guy, blah, 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 was all uneven and this and that. I'm like, really? Tell me more about that. Or, hey, what did that, I had a guy that talked about the mess the painters left inside his home while he was out of town for a week. It would have been really easy to go, well, we always use plastic and we Swiffer the floors and blah. And I just said, man, that must have been rough. I said, what was the vibe like when you came back in town? What was the vibe like in the house? That's what I said. I'm poking the emotions. He's like, oh, my wife made me sleep on the couch for 2 nights. She was pissed off at me because I hired the painter. Well, I mean, seriously, it had nothing to do with the paint job. I ended up selling a job for 10 grand more than everybody else because I peeled things back and really got to the heart. So that's advice I give to anybody going on a sales call today.
And I know I set you up for that one because you don't know the conversation I had beforehand. There's lots of different factors that go into that. But I just wanted that first question I should ask as I go to that client meeting right after this. Tom, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I can't believe the time's gone by so fast. I wish we could talk further. But Tom, where can our audience find out more about yourself, what you've got going on? Where do you want to send them to?
Anywhere on social media, the Contractor Fight or the contractorfight.com, man.
Excellent. Tom, thank you so much for your time.
Mike, I appreciate it, buddy. Have a great day. Good luck on that bid today.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for listening to today's podcast episode. Visit us at howtohardscape.com for more information on this subject. Let us know what you want to learn about in future episodes by hitting us up on our social channels. We are at How to Hardscape on Facebook and Instagram, or email us contact@howtohardscape.com. And once again, thank you to our sponsor, IQ Power Tools. Go check them out at iqpowertools.com to see more about their dust eliminating products that they have on the market for the hardscape industry. And we look forward to meeting with you next week on the How to Hardscape podcast.